Hello, this is Max Jones, and this is my Illuminate screencast. Understanding the Common Core State Standards, or CCSS, is important for multiple reasons. For starters, students will be assessed based on these standards. Keeping them in mind while teaching a lesson will improve assessment grades. In addition, according to the creators, quote, these academic standards provide a historic opportunity for students with disabilities to gain meaningful access to effective instruction. When it comes to assessing standards, its importance derives from identifying areas of weakness and using the testing results to determine if a child is making the required gains. The multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS, derives its importance from the aid it gives to struggling students. This model aids students regardless of their academic level. Progress reporting, shown here on this graph, is a system in which specific instructional skills are measured over time and then graphed and recorded for interpretation. Here, we see a general statistically significant upward trend with Andy's number of correct comprehensive questions over the course of a couple weeks. Norm reference tests are tests that determine a child's level of proficiency by comparing their scores on a specific test to the scores of the average student. In the case of the Wechsler Fundamental Academic Skills Test, each question is created with the average student ability in mind, and each question is graded as such. Accommodations are changes to a test that increase a child's access, but does not change what is learned. Examples include increasing print size for the visually impaired, increased time for students with ADHD, and reading the test aloud for students with dyslexia. Modifications, on the other hand, do change what is learned. Examples include simplifying equations, eliminating FOILs, and removing essay questions from tests. When thinking about grading adaptations in inclusive classrooms, there are several aspects to keep in mind. First, there are two ways that grades can be adapted to communicate information more effectively. Number one, classroom-wide grading adaptations that benefit all students, and two, individualized grading adaptations that are carried out exclusively for students with disabilities. In addition, teachers should always keep the following questions in mind. Are students working towards the same learning goals as the rest of the class? Is student progress being frequently monitored? Are students receiving accommodations that result in reasonable access to the general education curriculum? Have you identified your purpose for grades and articulated them clearly? According to Michigan.gov, quote, the MMC is crafted through the philosophical belief that all students will need post-secondary learning opportunities beyond high school. It specifies that all students who earn a diploma at a minimum have demonstrated proficiency with the content outlined by the state academic standards or guidelines. It supports the need for personalization, acceleration, and innovation in an atmosphere of high expectations and high support for students. Personal curriculum alters the requirements of the MMC. For some students, this means lowering the total amount of math credits required from 4 to 3, or eliminating the physical education requirement. Illuminate is a program that can be used to track students, their needs, and their accommodations, and their modifications. In addition, grades on tests and quizzes, along with IEP details, can be found here, with access to this information extended to all teachers. In terms of progress reporting, these details are remarkably valuable. All relevant details regarding a student's progress can be found and used without risk of it becoming lost or forgotten. IDEA specifies that each child's IEP must contain a description of how the child's progress toward meeting the annual goals will be measured, and when periodic reports on the progress the child is making towards the annual goals will be provided. All of the areas discussed during this screencast are undoubtedly important. Without assessment, teachers, students, and parents are all left in the dark. Without accommodations, many children would not be able to properly complete work they are capable of doing. Without modification, students with moderate to severe disabilities would simply be left behind. Finally, without data collection and progress reporting, determining if a child needs additional instruction and determining whether or not instruction is effective would be a nightmare.